Good morning. It's Wednesday, May 15th, here in Addis Ababa. Today on Coffee and Cream with Colin, let's go exploring. So what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to show you a whole bunch of the different sites that I recorded throughout the day, and I'm going to share with you some of my impressions of the city of Addis Ababa. The first thing I want to talk about is the driving. We did lots of driving in the morning, and that was a chaotic experience, to put it. It's the only way I can really think of to say it. And at first, I was sure we were going to hit or be hit by another vehicle or run over some random pedestrian. But it quickly became apparent to me that whatever system they're using works pretty well for them. There's a lot of really old cars, I noticed, from the 80s and 90s. But then there's still a few newer cars around too that look like very late models. It's a real contrast in the vehicles here. And most of the vehicles, particularly the older ones, have lots of dents. So some of my initial impressions aren't entirely wrong, because obviously there are the occasional fender bender and things like that. But they don't seem to be an angry bunch of people as they drive in this chaos either. And another thing I noticed too was the horns. They don't use the horns in anger so much as just part of how they communicate. It's very interesting. Next thing is parking. If it was available, you don't just pull in and grab a parking spot. Every block it seemed like there was somebody who managed that block. So you'd pull up and you sort of get their attention, and they'd help you find a spot, and then they would, I guess, watch over your car a little bit too while you're gone, and then when you came back to leave, you would give them a little bit of cash. So it's kind of like a parking meter, but a person. Then we went to a place called the Markedo, and that's known as Africa's largest open-air market. And while I found that not to be true in the strictest sense, it was very large. It covered several of the city blocks. There was shops beside the road and inside these buildings, even up several floors. And they're just everywhere. All kinds of shops. And it was just an incredibly chaotic gathering of cars and trucks and buses and animals. And all of them were somehow moving about in spite of each other. And there was anything and everything for sale in here as well. All the way from fresh produce to the latest in electronics. There was rugs and sporting goods. You could even get mattresses and building supplies. And just watching some of the different people and the things they were carrying on their heads as they went through the market. It was fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. One of the things that I saw as we were waiting to get picked up outside of one of the shops was a huge advertisement on the side of one of the buildings. It was about 3 stories tall, and it was an advertisement for an LG refrigerator. But the big selling feature of fridges there isn't things like an ice maker or an extra vegetable crisper, or some of the things that we find important in Canada, but rather this one had the fantastic feature of being able to keep your food cold for 7 hours if the power went out, and your freezer 10 hours. I doubt very much that my tour did justice to the city of Addis, but it certainly was a good reflection of my impressions of the city, because having never been in a city like this before, it was a very overwhelming experience. Not in a bad way, it was just overwhelming for my senses to take in all these things that I've never experienced before, never seen before. And so in that way, I think that I did a good reflection of my day. I hope you enjoyed, and look forward to sharing some more tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow I will get the chance to take you to breakfast with me, and maybe I'll even show you around the hotel a little bit too. And so I will see you tomorrow morning.